Well, speaking of people in the wrestling business, before we went on the air, you mentioned to me that you had been, I guess, getting caught up. I'm not caught up.
I've got a dossier here. Go ahead.
With the exploits of the Paul brothers. Of course, Logan Paul may be the Rookie of the Year for 2022. And his brother Jake, who has had a presence during his matches and is a celebrity in his own right. Apparently you've been keeping up, or you're now caught up, as I said, with what's going on with them.
Well, I'm working the Paul brothers beat. Actually, what I did was I got an investigator on them. I hired the noted investigator Jack from Finland. Have you heard about Jack from Finland?
Jack the Finish? No, I have not.
Boy, don't do anything. Jack from Finland will find out if you do anything untoward or out of the way. He's got a complete dossier that he has forwarded. No, we've been talking about the Paul brothers and specifically Logan. I don't know which one's the older, which one's the younger. I hope they didn't come out at the same time. Side-by-side births generally lead to consequences for the mother. But we've heard that, you know, they got in trouble one time for, and I've been on the periphery of reading about this story in the past. They made fun of the suicide forest in Japan or whatever, and they got heat for that, and they've been known to, as Rocky Johnson used to say, shoot their moose off on the social media a little bit. But here, Jack from Finland has sent a dossier. Apparently, he's been following these characters around. He's compiled a list of their exploits, and they've gotten more heat outside of the wrestling business than I realized. Brian, would you like to hear of some of their outside the ring shenanigans and tomfoolery?
Sure, and just so you know, the first time I ever heard of them or either one of them was Jake Paul was on a show on Disney Channel that my kids used to watch. So all I knew was it was a Disney kid actor.
So now this gives some of these things a whole new complexion now. If this guy used to be on the Disney Channel, all right, well, let's talk about these characters then. And Jackson, by the way, each one of these claims that he makes against the Paul brothers, he has a source in case we want to call bullshit. I can't give you the link here or whatever, but if you click on, he did have a source for all these stories. Business Insider. Business Insider, New York Times, Vanity Fair, New York Times again, various major media publications. So anyway, he begins, the Paul brothers rose to fame a number of years ago by making short videos on Vine. I guess for those of you who don't know, Vine is a street in Hollywood that intersects with Hollywood and Hollywood and Vine. So I guess they were making short videos on the corner of Hollywood and Vine. Is that what I'm
They were making short form digital videos and using a platform called Vine.
Oh, isn't that what I said?
No, not even close.
Not even close. But they were making short videos on Vine and eventually moving to a house in L.A. where they published the address and started to terrorize the neighborhood with noise pollution, lighting a mattress on fire outside the house. Boy, you got to get a lot of friction going before you'll set one of them mattresses on fire. Parties, and on one occasion, claiming that one neighbor loosened a tire in their car, which came off during driving on a highway, which led their fans to harass the neighbors. So, bad neighbors. And apparently Jake filmed the neighbors without permission for a video, so they got sued for most of these. Sometimes their filmings had hundreds of fans just gathered at the house. LAPD visited the house 32 times in 5 days at one point. Now, what? Okay.
Again, Disney star and his brother making videos, giving out their address. I got to go see this guy I've been watching on TV. That's how you build an audience.
Can you imagine living next to these knuckleheads and they've got hundreds of people around the house and the cops show up 32 times in 5 days? And that's not exactly keeping a low profile. Okay,
that's more than one neighbor calling.
Yes, I don't think If, and I know like Fanny Featherbottom, she would be one to call the police 52 times or whatever, but she doesn't live out there. She lives here. He goes on, during the George Floyd protests in Arizona, Jake Paul was recorded among looters in a mall, bashing a car window, and one clip appears to show him handling a stolen bottle of vodka, is the quote. Parenthetically, for the record, the mall looters were absolutely not affiliated with the Black Lives Matter movement. He was also raided by the FBI in relation to this. Wait a minute, this is the end of it. He was also raided by the FBI in relation to this. Now, wait, so Jake Paul is so upset about the George Floyd situation that he joined looters in a mall, bashing a car window and handling stolen bottles of vodka.
I'm so confused by this, because I've never heard anything about this before. I mean, I think I would have.
Sources from New York Times and Inside Edition.
So George Floyd, the protests are happening in the streets. Meanwhile, him and a bunch of hooligans decide to start looting the mall, and someone spots him. Hey, it looks like this Jake Paul. He's stealing vodka.
Yes, of all the people that have the perfect right to be pissed off about the George Floyd situation, I don't know that Jake Paul is among them.
This is crazy.
Oh, also, Jake, I believe this is Jake. He hosted a large party during quarantine, saying that the virus was a hoax, but he backtracked after being told off by everyone. Apparently now another rapper, well, they're not rappers, I guess. One rapper, Post Malone, who apparently is the grandson of Pat Malone, the Green Shadow, I don't know. He said in a podcast that Jake's fan merchandise was hilarious and that he bought it to laugh at it with his friends. This led to Jake showing up at his door, personally delivering the merchandise and filming the encounter without the rapper's knowledge. He published the video without censoring the address, so Mr. Malone had to move afterwards.
Wow.
Then there's his brother Logan. This guy who rose into fame along with his brother made a very unfortunate trip to Japan in 2017-2018. And I've heard about this somewhat, where he visited a forest where people have been known to go and end their own lives. He came across a dead body, filmed it for his YouTube video with him laughing around it, presumably out of the shock of seeing a dead body. Well, that's the first thing I do when I see a dead body is break down laughing. Second would be, how can I get the fuck out of here?
That is a weird reaction.
He did apologize on Twitter with one of those bragging apologies. Hey, I get a lot of views. I work a lot type of deals. Oh, and on the same trip, he visited a sacred temple where people can throw a coin in and make a wish and pray silently. The cameraman asked him about his wishes, and he responded with, and I quote, health, happiness, and hella bitches, as he turned around and chucked a fistful of coins in the fountain that there were people praying around. The thing that he throws the coins in there. Before this trip, he released a song where he was singing about his own merchandise for Christmas and fucking Mrs. Santa Claus. I saw mommy, daddy fucking Mrs. Santa Claus. I don't know.
Mrs. Santa Claus, not Mrs. Claus. You went with the full name.
Mrs. Santa Claus, that's what he wrote here. Mrs. Santa, well, they're very proper over in Finland. You know those Finns. He continues, both brothers are known also for their, parenthetically, for legal reasons, allegedly scammy NFTs and crypto. I've heard something about this recently.
You know, we've been getting a lot of emails about this. This part I've kind of been following a little bit.
Well, he said the estimates of how much the brothers have actually managed to, allegedly, pump and dump these different projects vary, but they are around $2 to $3 million per brother in total. Could be higher, could be lower. Unfortunately for Jake, he's now named as a defendant on one class action lawsuit for promoting one of these things, Safe Moon. Now, Safe Moon, that sounds like one of those Japanese anime video games we were talking about here a few months ago, where the dating game. Or that Safe Moon. That sounds very familiar.
If the one-man gang turned babyface in 85.
Oh, Moon the one-man gang, brother. He bad. Anyway, Jack from Finland continues the most infamous of these projects. However, I guess these NFTs and crypto things and such. The most infamous of these projects is Dink Doink. They ripped off South Park's animation style and made a love song promoting this. The song starts off with the singer saying, Dink Doink is his favorite coin. Want you to dink on my face and take a doink on my chest.
What? I didn't hear about this either.
Apparently, parenthetically, this is still on YouTube. I hate to say that we might have made him some money. The central essence of all their projects have been the absurd references to dicks and sex, so they could then easily say, well, it wasn't serious, while raking in some money from other people. Even the New York Times has reported both of the brothers' somewhat suspicious activities in the crypto space. Apparently now, he says, now I'd say you're unfortunately up to speed on the Paul brothers' history. They've just made news on this crypto coin currency business, have they not?
They did.
Again, because this came from December. This is an email from December.
No, they've been in the news for something. I'll see what I can find out. He's in the news today in the New York Post. From the New York Post, here's the headline. Pig allegedly owned by YouTube star Logan Paul abandoned, rescued.
Wait a minute. When you said he's in the news today, or the New York Post, pig allegedly, I thought, well, why are they so fucking hot at him? This is fucking pig. He allegedly did this shit, but we're going to call him a pig anyway. So he had a pig, and he was mistreated, or not mistreated, but not well cared for by Mr. Paul.
This is really worded in an interesting way. A pet pig owned by a, in quotes, famous YouTuber has been found abandoned in a field in a mangled state.
What?
Animal rescuers claim. Pearl, that's the pig. Pearl was allegedly found alone next to another pig who had passed away with a life-threatening infection in her uterus. Thankfully, she pulled through.
Wait, but did they do a goddamn post-mortem, an autopsy on the pig to find cause of death? That doesn't seem like something that'd be visually obvious.
Well, let's go back to Pearl. Thankfully, she pulled through.
Pearl, 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 don't give your love to Earl. I can give you diamond rings. I can give you many things.
Though she is reportedly lucky to be alive. Footage of her heartbreaking plight has been shared by the Gentle Barn, a U.S. animal sanctuary who rescued Pearl from what they said would have likely been death. The now viral TikTok video details the dire straits the pig was in when found, and claims Pearl was, quote, purchased originally from a breeder by an influencer. Boy, they just don't want to name who it is here.
Well, now, wait a minute, is this a full-size pig?
This is a giant fucking pig. Dare I say, to the layman who knows nothing about pigs, I would go, that's a hog. But it probably isn't. But it's a big pig. To me.
Well, and I've seen some people that you've associated with, so you would know how to measure and scope and estimate the size of various pigs.
While her previous owner hasn't been directly named, social media has been quick to speculate the pig was once owned by YouTube megastar Logan Paul. Logan Paul, 27, has yet to comment but has shared several photos and videos with his pet pig. Also,
oh, okay. So I was going to say, how did they come to but he's actually put the videos and the pictures out of him with poor, what was it? What was its name?
He has shared several photos and videos with his pet pig, also named Pearl, in the past. The Gentle Barn Sanctuary explained many pigs are often bought under the guise of being a mini breed and cause issues for owners when they grow up to be much bigger than expected.
Well, but there ain't that many pigs named Pearl. That ought to narrow it down somewhat.
Here's a quote. People often buy mini pigs or teacup pigs for clout online, believing they will stay small.
Clout online?
When they inevitably grow very large...
Wait a minute. We're burying the lead here. What the fuck does that mean? How in the world does that get you clout anywhere? Look, I've got a small pig. Oh, Salabim, Salabim, we must elect you God. You've got a small pig. How the fuck does that impress anybody? If you gave birth to a small pig and videoed that would impress the fuck out of me. But just buying one at a store, I don't know that that's a bar of accomplishment that we need to fucking highlight.
When they inevitably grow very large and have many unexpected needs, they're sadly discarded.
Like food and a place to shit 24 hours a day?
Pearl's clearly been through so much trauma that we can't begin to imagine. But she's now safe with us at the gentle barn, was a quote here. While many in the comments section have been quick to claim Pearl is Logan Paul's pig. There's a lot of P's in quick order there.
I knew it was going to be worth doing this show today.
Pearl is Logan Paul's pig.
Wait a minute. What else did it say about Logan Pig's Paul?
While many in the comments section have been quick to claim Pearl is Logan Paul's pig, the gentle barn stressed in the video the pig they rescued was irresponsibly rehomed and then later abandoned.
Irresponsibly rehomed?
While we don't know everything she's been through in her past, we know her life is now filled with friends.
Wait, this would have been the transition to the BetterHelp spot if only you had waited. By the way, this show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
Fans have since begun flooding Paul's social media accounts, demanding an explanation. On Twitter, a photo Paul shared with Pearl in February 2020 has been overrun with accusations and comments of disbelief. Why did you abandon her? One furious user pressed. Can you explain how Pearl was found abandoned and injured in a field? Another asked. Others have shared side-by-side images shared by Paul of Pearl with the spotted pig in the rescue video.
So the pig's name was Pearl Paul.
In February 2021, Logan Paul, who has over 23 million YouTube followers.
Logan Paul, the brother of sister Pearl Paul,
moved from his home in California to Puerto Rico.
Well, you can't take a pig to Puerto Rico. That's across the international date line. There's regulations.
Some fans of the star believe he rehomed Pearl during his relocation before she was later found abandoned by animal rescuers.
See, no, abandoned is a good word, or dumped off on the side of the road or out in a field. Don't say rehomed. That makes it sound too nice. Pearl the pig gave Paul the best years of Pearl's life. And it was always there to love him and kiss on him and shit in his face and all over the house and everywhere. All Pearl ever wanted was to cuddle up at night about 250 or 300 pounds next to Logan Paul in the bed and exchange sweet nothings till they fell asleep at night. That's all. And instead, Pearl was cast off like an old shoe. Pearl was cast off like an unwanted order of bacon.
A video shared on his social media channel 4 years ago shows the star buying the pig from a breeder with an ex-girlfriend and naming her Pearl. Here's a quote from Logan Paul.
Now, wait a minute. Are you talking, did he name the ex-girlfriend Pearl or the pig for it? Is that why he's mad at Pearl the pig? Because Pearl the pig was named after the ex-girlfriend Pearl that he's no longer with, and he has deep-seated animosity toward the ex-girlfriends, therefore he took it out on Pearl the pig? Is this what you're telling me?
That's not what you just made up a whole fantasy scenario based on a sentence that had nothing to do with any of that. But he was with an ex-girlfriend when he bought the pig. Here's a quote. "This is the best decision I've ever made in my life," he states during the vlog while cradling the then piglet. By 2020, he had revealed the mini pig was now huge. Paul, who has tried his hand at boxing after finding fame online, recently apologized to fans who lost money after investing in his cryptocurrency game, CryptoZoo. He was criticized for encouraging people to buy cryptocurrency collectibles.
He should have been criticized for encouraging people to buy pigs.
For what he called a really fun game that makes you money. But more than a year after its launch, no game has materialized, and Paul has apparently abandoned the project, much like the pig. The BBC reports.
You know, if you can't take advice on what to do with your money from somebody who says that buying a pig was the greatest decision of his life, who can you listen to? Have you ever been in a position, Brian, in your life where at any point in it that you could utter the words, buying this pig is the greatest decision I've ever made, and it would have been truthful?
Are you done with that video? Okay. Oh, man, I'm going to get so much clout from showing these people that even though I'm rich and successful, I buy pigs. I don't get any of this. I don't. Everything's done for attention.
It was a clout pig.
It was a clout pig. Logan Paul's pig, Pearl. Any other comments about this? Do you have anything else about the Pauls, or were we done with this?
Logan Paul's pig, Pearl, is precious. That little porker. Prissy little porker prancing and posing in the yard. I think we probably close this one up. Let's put a period on it.